Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to today's live stream. Welcome to today's event. So, the topic for today, we're talking all about Rave Cosmology. So, I want to tell you a little bit about what this topic is, why it's so important to understand, why it's so important for me to understand, and why it might be important for you to understand. So if you are jumping in, I see a few people jumping in, and I would love for you to let us know where you are tuning in from. Hi, Nikki. Hello, Kelly. Hello, Nancy. Hey, Chris. Hi. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you guys here live. So happy to have you here live. Okay, so let us know if you're jumping in. Let us know where you are tuning in from. And oh my God, there's Vicky. Hello from Texas, Missouri. Awesome. Oh my God, I'm so excited to have you guys here. This is a really important download. This is really important information. And as you guys know, or you may not know, I am here to universalize and practicalize information. If practicalize is a word, or I just made it up. But I'm here to take things that are really out there, spiritual, part of the mystical way, part of the shamanic channel, and bring it forward in a practical way. Why is this so important in your life today? For most of you, you're spiritual practitioners. So you've had spiritual awakenings, you've had spiritual gifts start to turn on, you've had places inside where you know you are maybe talking to people who've transitioned. Maybe you've had experiences with certain guides. Maybe you've had astral body, out of body, astral projection experiences. Usually in my community, there's a lot of woo. And I think that's what really draws people into this fractal. And we also are obsessed with human design here, right? And so when we merge these two, we come at spiritual awakening, we turn on your spiritual gifts, we enter into the communication with our guides in a way that you can use in your practical life, in a way that makes sense, and in a way that informs your day to day, your work life, your career, your business. So that's why this is important. You think you can do life alone. You think you are alone, but you're mistaken. You're never alone. Your guides are always with you all the time. The question is, are you listening and are you perceiving the right message? Are you receiving the download correctly? And are you applying it to your life in a positive or a negative? Now, say hello, Bijou. You didn't know she was on my lap. So I want to break this down in really simple terms so you guys can see what I'm talking about. During 2020, I felt the most important thing I could do during that time was what I'm here to do, which is teach. It was to help people to step outside and become a witness, to be able to pull out their popcorn and just watch the friggin' movie. And believe me, it was nuts. Now, right now, there's a lot of intensity happening in the world as well. And once again, I truly do believe the most important thing to do is to have a clear head, to be able to see from an outside perspective, what we like to call the passenger consciousness. We like to stand outside and be able to witness so that we're not spinning out in the conspiracies. We're not spinning out in the fear of the apocalypse. I'm not saying it's not going to happen or it is going to happen. I'm just saying that if people are telling you it's going to happen, they're trying to control you. That is one of the most easiest ways. If you look at any high control group, any cult, they're going to talk about the end times. And it's a way to cause panic, fear, let people not think straight so you are easily controlled. Okay, now look, if you believe in the apocalypse or whatever you believe, I'm not here to debate. I'm not here to tell you you're right or you're wrong. It might happen. I don't know. I'm here to say, I don't know. And I'm here to say that while we don't know until it happens, we should be in the vibration of passenger consciousness, calm-headed, clarity, and still within our manifestation, living a great life, living our full potential, doing what we are here to do on this earth plane, what our purpose is. And we each have a different purpose. And mine is to really allow this spiritual awakening to happen. And the spiritual awakening during this time is actually quite practical because your spiritual gifts are going to help direct you and guide you into very specific situations. I'm going to tell you the funniest quick story about how practical my guides are. So one day I was walking around with Bijou, walking around the lake, and I accidentally stepped in a huge pile of dog shizzle. And then I got in my car and I went to the gym and I was doing CrossFit, which is like you go from station to station to station. But I didn't know that I had like a huge pile. And I walk into the gym and my guides go into the dressing room and sit down on that chair. I'm like, why? Like it was so random. It was so weird. They're like, go into that into that locker room right now and sit down on the chair. I'm like, okay. It was so random. So I sit down on the chair. This just happened, which is why I'm bringing it up. And I hope it's a funny story for you guys. I sit down on the chair and then I just lift up. I go, oh, my shoe's untied. So I lift up my foot and put it on my, cross so I can tie it. And I'm like, oh my God. I was about to go freaking work out at the CrossFit and like cover the every single freaking piece of equipment. And I was like, oh my God, my guides are always with me. They're always protecting me. They're always like, even for these little practical moments where I could have like just totally destroyed their gym, you know? Anyway, okay, that's just a funny story. Now, I want to tell you guys a little bit more about what Rave Cosmology is. But my point is your guides are practical. They're with you all the time if you listen. But you need to understand how to get the right information. Okay, so this is our foundation. Now, for those of you who don't know what Rave Cosmology, just put a yes or no in the chat. If you're listening to the replay, please put a hashtag replay, yes or no. Is that a fantastic, right? It's good, right? Practical, how the guides work on the practical. Hey, Marissa. All right, so please put a yes or a no in the chat if you know what Rave Cosmology is. If you guys think you know somebody who would benefit from understanding spirituality with human design and you decide you'd like to share this, please put share in the comments and we are going to do a drawing for everybody who has shared. If you guys feel like, oh, wow, somebody I know, or you can tag somebody that you know, it's just a way for a projector to be recognized and it really helps our algorithms and helps the video. And if you guys put share or tag somebody, we are going to go back and we're going to do a drawing We always give away cool things from readings to free entries into our workshops and things like that. So, Rave Cosmology. Ra Uru, the founder of human design, had an 8-day encounter with what he called the voice. The voice downloaded a really unique piece of information that aligned the I Ching with the chakra system, astrology, neutrino sciences, and quantum physics. The voice, in spiritual language, could have easily been called channeling, something, or downloaded. Something came through Ra. Now, it took him a long time. It won't let you share. Share to thank you for sharing. It won't. I'm sorry. But thank you for trying. But thank you, Vicky. We truly, truly appreciate it. So, sorry. So this download came through Ra, and it took him quite a long time, many, many years, to process the download, to bring it forward into a practical teaching format, which we now know as human design. When Ra brought the information forward, he tried to downplay the encounter and upplay the information. And he did this by saying, do not believe what I tell you. Experiment with it. And if it changes your life, it's the right information for you. Thank you, Chris, for sharing. Thank you so much. So the way he downplayed his encounter is he belittled the New Age. He belittled spirituality at that time. And then what he also said was that most spirituality is based on the 7-centered chakra system. And he said when we evolved to the 9-centered chakra system, we evolved out of many of the spiritual teachings. And this sort of makes sense to me because spiritual awakening does need to be updated. We know that if you look at any, and please do not let me offend you, but if you look at many religions, sometimes the traditions and the rituals, and sometimes we do those to honor our ancestors, and sometimes religion has a really great impact on people. I'm not putting it down because I don't believe in putting anything down, because everything works for everybody at different times and different stages of life. But the idea is that there are certain principles that need to be current into what's happening in the world today as we know it. So what Ra was saying is, as the 9-centered being, we need to experience a spirituality from a new perspective. That I'm on board with. And he also tried to make human design less woo and more scientific, which it actually is. You can look at the codons, the how that it aligns to your DNA code, which, by the way, I'm giving the shout out to Vicky on that. If you haven't seen the work that she's doing, she's a master on understanding the codons and how that relates to your DNA code, your health, all the things. So it is very deep, this intel. And yet spiritual awakening is also very deep. And when you really study the past lives, when you really study near death experiences, there is actually a system to this. Okay. There's a system to the unseen forces. And Ra wanted to break it down so that we don't get lost in his encounter. Okay. We wanted to instead get lost in the experiment. Okay. So the experiment is about utilizing your human design for practical, beautiful implementation in your life. If you're a friggin' projector, you've struggled your whole life trying to fit in, trying to be seen, trying to be recognized. This changes your world. So it is practical. Now, let's talk about the encounter. Ra's 8-day encounter was a mystical event where during those 8 days, he was triggered by a ghost. Sorry, he was triggered by a demon. He was led by a ghost, and he was downloaded with his entities. The guides come to support, to surround, and then to lead us to information that is not a part of this world. It is information that is beyond the mind. It is information that your little brain that has been drinking the forget consciousness, which is what we do when we're human. We come into this human body and we drink down the the 3D consciousness, so you forget the unseen world. You forget your connection to all that is. And we do this to be in a learning process, a learning school. Okay. So we have to understand that we are limited here. And our guides come through in order to bring us information we can't get in the 3D. And you have to understand that they have our backs. They're here to help awaken us and to help us live out our full potential. Now, unfortunately, because of these pea brains and because of the illusion and the confusion, and now with the AI, and now with the infinite number of conspiracies out there, the mind is twisted up in a knot of confusion and misinterpretation. So the minute the higher frequency comes in and you start channeling, or you are somehow catapulted into a spiritual awakening, if you don't understand this stuff, you're spun out into crazy town. And I have watched people end up in mental hospitals. I've watched people spin out. So, hi, Barbara. Hi, Connie. All right. So, I want to share with you a little bit of my own story. For those of you who are new here, I see a lot of people who are my beautiful peeps. If you're new here, let me know in the chat. If you've not been to a live, even if you're on the replay and you've not seen one of my lives, let me know. I'd love to welcome you. And I do want to tell you a little bit about my background. And for those of you who do know, I'm going to try and tell you a story you don't know, because I've had a lot of crazy stories. So when I began my spiritual path back in my 20s. Hey guys, hi somebody. Oh, your daughter Heather's here. Oh my God. Hi Heather. So when I started my spiritual path, and the reason I'm telling you this story is so you can see how friggin' nuts and how misinterpreted spiritual teachings can be. So, hi, Lucille. So, in my 20s, I was in college and I was studying something random, political science. I was studying modern dance. But what really inspired me was metaphysics. What really inspired me was my first reading of the I Ching. So, what really inspired me was this spiritual path. And I met some powerful shamans, and I decided that was more important than college. It was more important than getting my master's degree. It was the most important thing I could do. So, I decided to take a couple years of my life and travel with the shamans. Now, when you do something like this, you open the door in the field to the multi dimensions. You open your experience to what could be felt like a long DMT trip without the drugs. Hi, Kelly, you made it. Hi, all. Hi, welcome. Listening and learning. Welcome. So, the experiences were many. And one of the things this particular group of shamans did is travel to Teotihuacan. Teotihuacan is where the pyramids are in Mexico. Now, this land is the place where what is known as Teotihuacan means the place where man walks as God. And so it starts on the island of hell, which is the island of separation. When you don't know you're connected, you don't know God, you don't know that you are part of all of the forces of the planet, you don't understand that you have guides. You are in confusion, what we would call the not self, right? Bitterness, fear, confusion, frustration. The mind has completely taken over. You think this is what you are, is this physical body. And you feel alone. It drives you to addiction, uh, crazy behaviors, and bad relationships because you're seeking something outside of yourself to fulfill you, right? So the first thing you do in Teo is you walk off of that island of hell and you walk into the journey where you become one with God. And it's a whole series that you walk through. And the shamans at that time would take us through ritual. And we were then allowed to climb those pyramids. There's the pyramid of the moon and the pyramid of the sun, where you begin to connect with the gods. And when I was walking through this shamanic process, the pyramid of the moon is the feminine. It was the place where we connect to our receptive nature, which in human design, we each have both the feminine and the masculine within us. When I walked up the pyramid of the moon, the sky opened up for me and I was shown a vision. Now, at this time, I was in my early 20s. I interpreted that vision as what I was to do with my life. I felt what my purpose was. And what I saw was light workers doing entertainment and dance, kind of like a Cirque du Soleil that transformed the world. So I walked down off the Pyramid of the Moon. I had lost the people I was with because I had disappeared into this vision. I didn't know where they were, and the sun had gone down and it was pitch black. I didn't know where the next step was, and you can see why they've stopped letting people climb these pyramids. They're very, very dangerous. I could have friggin' died for sure. I absolutely could have died at that moment. My guides, and this is probably about the second or third encounter I had with my guides at that time. They came through and literally took my foot and helped me walk down the pyramid. I did not know where anybody was, my group that I was with, and they literally led me turn by turn by turn into a restaurant. I walked into the restaurant and my boyfriend at that time, my college boyfriend, was with another woman, what I thought was with. And then I realized that after years and years of discovering what had happened, that was another trigger point. So the triggers for encounters happen through tribal hanging gates, and I have the gate of conflict in the emotional center. And so that relationship caused me, and then a lot of conflict. And of course, I confronted him on it, and he then gaslit me, and then it began a whole continued relationship of narcissistic abuse. But of course, when you're in your 20s, you don't know. And that's a total side note. That's the trigger point. So the vision was downloaded through my consciousness, and I connected to my guides, and they were leading me where I was supposed to go. And then because I'm an ego driven projector, I have a big ego. But it's natural. But it takes away from my splenic inner authority. Of course, I didn't know I was a projector at that time. And I didn't know. My ego was actually out of control. And I was like, I'm on a mission. I have a purpose. I'm driven to create this Cirque du Soleil type experience. And so I I decided to move to San Francisco and manifest this. And I manifested, started in my living room, and I got all these people together. And in some ways, that is correct for projector. I'm here to lead, guide, and direct. And I had an amazing vision. I called all these artists together, and this amazing thing was birthed. And in 4 short years, we actually were performing in front of 20,000 people. We performed in huge auditoriums. I mean, it was huge. So there were some places that were correct about my vision. The problem was I was not recognized as a leader. And somehow I got all of my work stolen from me, even though the whole business was in my name. It was like, I got projected on as a line 5 and pushed down from the pedestal, and everything got stolen from me. And it's such a long drama story. And you guys may have heard this because I wrote about it in my last book, Are You a Mutant? But basically, my point is my downloads were misinterpreted by my transference of desire. Okay. So I had this huge spiritual awakening. I had this huge mission and purpose, but I did not know I was a projector, and I did not understand what the downloads were. And so my entire life, when I hit 30, I had nothing. It had been ripped from underneath me, and I had to take an entire year on the couch and unplug and reassemble my life. And still had no idea how to understand all my dreams, the fact that I have lucid psychic dreams, the fact that I was having visions. My guides were still leading me, but where were they taking me? And then I had the complete doubt that any of that helped my life at all. So then what did I do? I pushed the shit down and decided I don't want to have this spiritual connection because it destroyed my life. I had a crisis of my spiritual connection to the unseen, to God, to um, my guides, all of it. And I had to rebuild my life from the shambles that it was in. And luckily, I was so tired and I was so in surrender that one day, a full year, I'm talking a full year on the couch, okay? Luckily, one of my spiritual teachers let me ride this out on the couch of a spiritual home. It was actually the best year of my life. But I just stumbled upon meeting this woman, and she actually invited me because of my dance background, and it invited me into this company, and I ended up working my way up the corporate ladder. Okay, so that's sort of how I ended up getting into corporate. It was like this moment on the couch. I was like, I better go to the gym because I'm going to, waste away here. And I met this woman. She was owned this franchise, and she was like, "Oh my God, you'd be a great manager for my franchise I just bought." The franchise was like ended up being the fastest growing, most successful franchise in the United States. And I just got recognized. It was totally invited. It was total recognition. And the truth was, I didn't care because I was in so much surrender that my whole frigging dream, my purpose, my mission had been destroyed, that I could let that happen because I didn't really care about it. And I ended up getting to the top of this frigging corporate career. And you guys know the corporate career worked out for a little while as a projector, and then you get burned out and all of that. But there was a full period of time during that corporate era that I decided that I really wasn't going to listen to my spiritual guides because they destroyed my life. And again, misinterpretation of the spiritual information. Now, when I got taken to human design, it was simply to have a career where I felt seen. Like my gifts weren't being seen. And part of it was coming back out of the spiritual, like gaining that connection again, trusting my guides, trusting my spiritual connection again, and re-allowing um, that unseen force to be in my life. Now, I think there's a lot of great human design teachers, and I've been teaching human design for a while now, but I cannot even express to you how much I know now. Like, I know I've been teaching, and I know people have gotten things from when I first started teaching. People have gotten a lot, but I can't believe how much more I know now, because it all comes back around to human design is actually the path to spiritual awakening. For me, it was just a practical tool I needed to survive the generator world. And then the further I go, the deeper down the rabbit hole, the more onions and layers that I peel, the more I realize this was the spiritual connection that I've always longed for. It was that spiritual need that I had back in my 20s. It is here in human design. It takes you all the way through to back into your spiritual gifts, the spiritual awakening, to allowing your guides to come through in a practical way. But now I understand. I'm seriously going to start crying because now I know how to be with my guides and let that information direct my life, and I am not afraid. I am not afraid to let in the mystical. And that is my design. I am shamanic. It is part of the 2551. I am here to initiate your spiritual awakening as part of the mystical way. The mystical way is Rave Cosmology. It shows you where you are awakening as the mystic. It shows you how to bring down your guides. Now, mind you, you have a trigger guide. Then you have a guide that takes you to your main guide. Now, again, this just happened like a month ago. Davidian gifted me with a course with a channel, and I'm like, I don't need a channel. I got my guides, okay? And this channel was like, nah, you need this course. And my guides were like, yeah, you're doing this. And so the name that my guides always gave me was Amore. And then when I was working with this channel, she gave us this new exercise to do to communicate with our guides. And I said, is Amore really your name, or is that just something am I really getting your name right? And they said, no. And I was like, oh, shoot, that's such a bummer. So then I'm holding, and the frequency is something new is coming. Something new is coming. So there is the secondary guides that pull you in to your main guide. And the main guide came through with no name. There's no name. We are the beings with no name. And so I kept writing this down, no name, no name. And then I had a session with the woman who was teaching this course, a one-on-one session. She's like, well, tell me about your guides. And I said, they're multicolorful, primarily blue, and their name, I thought it was Amore. And I thought that they kept saying Amore, but it was the vibration of love, the frequency of love, 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 love. So then she goes, well, maybe you just were interpreting it as Amore and then she said, the reason why is because they have no name. And I'm like, chills everywhere, like chills, 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 chills. But it was also that the surrounding guides were bringing in, and I want to say what would be equivalent to the voice. Okay. So like I said, Ra's Rave Cosmology, this course goes through the aura mechanics of the encounter. So Ra was triggered by the demons. He was led by the ghost, which name was Hu. Ra Uru Hu. Hu is the ghost, always with him, always in the back seat with his passenger. And then the voice was the entity. Now, my surrounding guides were the aliens, but my voice which now is the being with no name, which they now allow me to call Amore, but that's not their name, is also for me as an entity and has connection with the voice, which pretty much everybody in human design with their fractal probably, if their main guide is an entity, will have connection to the voice. So Rave Cosmology, and if you decide you would like to do Rave Cosmology with me, we are going to have all of these exercises to bring forward your connection. Make sure you're not misinterpreting the spiritual, and make sure you're not misinterpreting the information, which, by the way, is all shown in your chart, how you can misinterpret it. And then align you with what Ra calls the voice, and we each have our own the voice. For me, it's the being with no name that I call Amore, but I really shouldn't, because the aliens are the Amores. So it's my being with no name. And it literally came through within the last month. And it has turned on my life in a huge way, in so many mystical ways. And my psychic gifts started turning on. I didn't even know. It was hard for me to even see my gifts. But in this course, she started doing little exercises with us so we could see our own gifts. Like, she would hold things in her hand and ask everyone to guess what it was. And things like that, where you can really be like, oh my God, I had no idea I was actually like having that much connection and guidance and psychic and development going on. And I know all of you, because my fractal is spiritual beings. I know all of you have had spiritual awakenings, spiritual gifts, all these experiences. And so what Rave Cosmology is doing, it's showing you in your chart where all these things are. And then while simultaneously allowing you to access this information. And the main reason why, according to human design, according to the voice, is that, oh God, this is so good. Your vehicle and its connection to your unique guide is creating something so unique. You would imagine it like a child with its own DNA code that is unique only to your vehicle and your connection to your guide. And what is being birthed is an educational piece for the world that only you can deliver. Only you can bring forward that educational piece based on the making love between you and your guide to birth this information. And it's a real tangible thing, just like human design was. That's how powerful the Rave Cosmology is. That's how powerful human design integrated with spiritual awakening. It kind of blows your mind, right? So I've cried every day when I think of how powerful human design has been for me as a projector. But I more deeply cry every day when I think of how grateful I am that my spiritual gifts have now turned back on, because I trust them. I trust the wisdom because I understand my human design. And not just that, but I also understand my human design teachers in a brand new way, because I see their chart, so I see where they're in their not self, and I see where they're not really actually aligned. It's really helped me to pull my energy back from certain spiritual teachers that say they're one thing, but when you look at their chart, they're something else. So many people like, I'm connected to the angels when really their guides are the demons. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong. We don't really believe in demons. It's just the misinterpretation of the energy. So I'm not saying that to scare you. Okay. And that's why I don't bring the word up very often. I really want you guys, anybody who wants to do this workshop with me, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to do just like we did with the test, which was so much fun. We did a 3-hour workshop. The 3-hour workshop is going to be open to everybody. It's an investment, but a small investment that everybody can afford. This one's a little more expensive. It's only $97. And if you decide to do the full certification with me, that is applied to your certification. But if you just are like, no, I can't invest in the certification right now, that's too expensive for me, but you really want to do the workshop and you can afford $97 cheaper than a dinner out, then join the workshop. It's going to be, I'm actually going to put the link right now. So if you guys would like to do the 3-hour workshop, it's an investment, but it's going to be a little bit more specific on what it is we're looking at through the chart. And then of course the program is the certification. So you can start helping people bring forward their guides and you can bring forward your education on a deeper level. Okay. So, that's what we're doing. And it's going to be freaking epic, because especially for me in my life, this is what I'm born for. I mean, knowing that I'm a projector, knowing that projector's time has not even come yet, all of my drive for spiritual awakening, and now it all friggin' makes sense. It's just like, it's heaven to me. There's nothing more that I would rather get into. And it really had to be like the right moment for all of this to come forward. And I think that during these times when we're starting to see people talk about the end times and all of the dramas and the hatred and the wars and all the conspiracies, it's all building up again. That's the time to go deeper into your human design studies and go deeper into your connection, because it's about being in the center of the storm, and we're getting closer and closer to 2027. And like I said, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if Ra's prophecy is going to come true, that we're not going to have the internet and all the things. I don't know, but I do know that I'm driven more now than ever to make sure everybody is prepared for whatever happens. And this for me isn't just about having the right career, it's about having the right connection to the unseen forces, so you know how to handle the awakening. So I see a couple of chats and questions. Michelle said, "You're the most amazing teacher." Oh, Michelle, I love you. Thank you. HD is a part of my awakening 7 years ago. Huge part, right? Hi, son. Right, Vicky? It's mind-boggling, right? This is the reason I was pulled to you from the start. Marissa, I'm so happy to be in class with you. Just like, it's so, so awesome. Can we ask what entity is in your dream chart? So that's a great question. So there's not an entity in the dream chart, but the dream chart has realms. So you have the earth realm, you have the demon realm, and then you have the light realm in where you're dreaming. And then you have a portal gate. And the portal gates, not everyone has them, but the portal gates do, but everyone goes through portals in their dreams, because the dreams are portals when we move through those gates within the neutrino stream. The portals are like connecting with your guides. So the guides aren't seen in your dream rave. Does anyone else have any questions? I know everybody wants to know which ones theirs are, okay? Which guides theirs are. And that's what the workshop's going to be about. I'm going to help you kind of understand your chart a little bit more. And then we'll kind of go through the sequencing just a little bit. So if you have questions on your personal chart, come on the 9th. Wait, I'll let you know on the 9th or the 10th. LOL. Yeah. Demons, angel things. I have demons. So you had demons in your dreams? So I'll look at your chart, Nikki, but if you're having demons or something like that in your dreams that you don't know what, and something feels kind of scary, the thing that you have to know, oh, you saw you had demons in the chart. Okay. I will look it up. I'll look it up for you. But we all probably have some demons in the chart. So let me before I send you guys off to think about whether you're going to come to the workshop. By the way, is anyone going to come to the workshop? Does that sound fun for you guys? I want to know. I want to know. Yeah, so the demon realm is different than demons so let me explain this just a little bit. Okay, this is really important because whenever you use the word demon, everyone's gonna like go home and be like, ah. So okay, so let me explain the demons a little bit based on Rave Cosmology, and then I'll also talk a little bit about it in the dream rave. Okay, so Ra talks about these guides being frequency. Okay, so our guides are definitely vibration, and the vibration is there are different levels of vibration, not good, not bad, nothing like this. Okay, it's vibrational. Now, what the demons are here to do is to really question authority in some ways. But what happens is when we have that vibration and we're living in our transference, or you could say you're not self, then instead you misinterpret that as the human concept of the devil and demons. That is a human story and a human mind concept that is tweaked and misinterpreted what we're seeing. Now, I know that's a lot to swallow, but all of the mythology around the gods, and I mean, even think of Greek mythology, and you have Athena, and then you have Atlas, and you have all these things, and we look back on it and we're like, oh wow, they thought everything was gods, and you do all these rituals and all this stuff, and we could see that they were in a misinterpretation of these energies. Well, what Ra is saying is that's what all of humanity is in right now as well. We can't see it because we think we're so smart, we're so evolved. But like I said in the beginning, our brains are like little pea brains, and and it's not just because I'm going to say all humans are stupid. We actually are like, we have to drink the elixir of forgetting in order to learn the lessons of the earth plane. So we just don't even have the capacity, no matter how evolved. And I've seen a lot of spiritual teachers. I've been a seeker. No matter how evolved somebody is, can someone interpret that? I don't want anything weird to be coming through my chat. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm going to delete it because I can't read that. And if I don't know what it is, then I'm gonna have to delete it. But you're welcome here. Just please type in English so we know what you're chatting. So we misinterpret sorry, I lost my way. I got kind of sidetracked there for a second. There's just a lot of misinterpretation of the energies. Okay. Dreaming of the demons. Okay. So one other thing is that the dream realm is what we learn in the dream rave, is that most of the dreams, not all of them, but a lot of the dreams are conditioning elements. They're conditioning us to our lowest common denominator. So in other words, if you're dreaming of something that's causing fear and your guilt motivation, it's keeping you in your transference. Okay? So it sounds complicated, and I'm going to break this stuff down so it's super, super easy and simple for you guys to understand. But the most important thing right now you need to be aware of is that it's very easy to misinterpret anything that comes through as a demon realm through fears. That's just the easiest way to kind of explain that. And the more so you don't want to like say, oh, I dream of demons, therefore I have demons. And it's not that at all. As a matter of fact, if you're seeing anything like that and it makes you afraid, then you're in transference. So that's why I really do believe that so much of what's going on the planet right now is control through fear. Because when you're afraid, you just cannot be in your authority. Well, unless you're fear motivation, which those people understand their dynamic of their fear more than other people. But really, there's so much control for you to be in your not self, so much conditioning. The biggest conditioning is around God, what to think, what to believe, what angels are, what demons are. And so what human design it will do is break down some of the things that you might be seeing. If you're seeing things in your dreams, sometimes it's a conditioning element. Nikki, does that help a little bit? Susie, you're signed up! Yay! I'm so excited. Kelly, oh my God, yeah. Tara, oh, I'm so excited. After we did our last workshop on the Saturday, I had the best time of my life. I mean, I know it's so crazy, you guys, but like there's nothing I'd rather do. I had the best time of my life, and I was like, I gotta put more workshops on Saturdays. I had so much fun. Now, I do take time off. Tomorrow I'm going to have a full day off. So don't think I work all weekend long. I just prefer to have my weekends during the week because nobody's around. We're going to the spa tomorrow, me and my girlfriend, and it's way easier on a Wednesday than on a Saturday. So anyways, I'm obsessed with my new Saturday workshop. So Nikki, yes, thank you. Oh, good. I'm surprised I missed most of this, but I still caught something. Hi, Kelly. Okay, you missed it. Well, this replay will be here. It will be available for you guys on the Facebook group. It usually even cycles through on YouTube, so you can watch it there. Am I live on Instagram? I think I am. Oh my God, I'm live on Instagram. Wow. I had so many people join, but then I didn't check my chats over there. I'm sorry, Instagram, but I love you. And if you're watching on Instagram, then, the link is in my bio if you're on Instagram. I would love to participate, but I'm going away. Can I sign up and watch the replay? Yes. If you sign up, you will get the replay. And also, if you guys know when you sign up, if you have questions, you just email me. So if you want some support on what's in my chart, email me. We'll do it before Saturday. But the reason I did it in May, so it's quite a ways away, so that I could just get really organized and hold this space for everybody and connect with you guys via email. What I like to do is ask you some questions, find out a little bit about your spiritual journey via email, and kind of give you guys some things to contemplate before the workshop. You prefer the weekends too? I know, it's so fun. It's so fun. Okay. So is there any other questions that you guys have? It's really interesting stuff, right? I have to tell you, like, I've studied so many things in my life, and I have studied the Gene Keys. I love Richard Rudd. Okay. I've studied all different kinds of spiritual teachings. Um, like I said, in my 20s, I sought out the shamans. I sought out, I lived with an awakened master for 2 years. I went to see the gurus in India. Like, I was obsessed with seeing spiritual teachers. It makes sense based on my design, but the point is that the spiritual teachings that come through human design are unmatched. They're unmatched. And also, I'm a huge proponent of Joe Dispenza. I love his work. Okay. Love his work. Human design is unmatched. I'm sorry, but it's basically the code to your DNA. It's a code to your DNA, and it's not just practical tools to live your life. It is for me because I'm practical, but it's also, this awakening, this spiritual awakening, which is what I truly believe the times we're in. That gate 55 is spiritual awakening. I'm sorry, but we are moving into the whole entire 1949 is splitting and merging with the 55 come 2027. Everyone says that that's going to be survival in the now. Well, the 3420, but I think it's going to be spiritual awakening in the now. And the 20 is the gate of the Buddha in the now. It's about spiritual awakening. Okay, so you can interpret it how you want. Okay, thank you, and goodbye. It's kind of an honor. It should be an honor when we get trolled, right? HD is the most amazing thing. It truly, truly is. Information calls are between 12 a.m. and 4 a.m. Okay, lady, you're blocked. God, come on. Okay, block the user. All right. Somebody actually created a Facebook account with my name and started asking people if they want spirit readings. And like, people said yes. I'm like, wow, spirit readings. I think people with the 3959 and 1949 are gates have the most intense awakenings. Yeah, so that is what I see too. I really do. I think you're right. I think it is going to be that way. I think it is. Yeah, Vicky. Vicky said, let me put your comment up there because I'm commenting on it and people might not know. She says, I think that people with the 3955 and the 1949 have the most intense awakenings as we move towards 2027. And if you guys don't know about 2027, then buy my book, Are You a Mutant? You can get it on Amazon or Audible. Little commercial for my book. But seriously, that 1949 is splitting and then it's going to merge with the 55. I just absolutely think people with that, and one of my spiritual teachers, is the only channel he has is 1949. And then of course Davidian has the gate 19, and he has the 3955. And yeah, I see it too. The psychosis have the 19 or 49. Interesting. Interesting. Vicky says, yeah, definitely. Interesting. Psychopathy. Yeah, I have a question. Can someone else use entities to influence others? Okay, that's a great question. And according to human design, no. Okay. Now, I like to teach through human design, even though there are a lot of other spiritual teachings. A lot of the shamans would say, yes, Lucille's got the 1949. Yep, yep. Okay, so this is a great question, Sonny. Did you guys see this question? Let me show it. Can someone use entities to influence others? Okay, so now, you guys heard my story. I've worked with shamans, I worked with spiritual teachers, and all of them would say something different. And because of all the misinterpretations I've had throughout my life, I am now teaching spirituality through human design. So my answer's coming through human design. In human design, there is no way to do that. No one can influence you with entities outside. The only thing you can do is you can pull that energy through you. You have the ability to accept or deny and misinterpret. So during 2020, I did have a friend who got attached to an outside entity, but she called it in and she misinterpreted the information, and the places she went to, it was a very dark hole and she couldn't see it. She also has a history of addiction, and she became addicted to, we can get addicted to depression, we can get addicted to any thought, we can get addicted to obsessive thoughts. So the mind, your mind, you have control over everything that happens. You are the authority. Your inner authority is the authority. Your authority is empowerment. What entities come through and how you interpret them is all based whether you are aligned or not aligned. If you're in your not self, you can misinterpret the energy of what is coming in, and it can get pulled into frequencies of addiction or misuse or control, but nobody can do that to you. You have to be a willing participant. Yeah. Connie says I have the gate 49 hanging too in my incarnation cross. So the 49 hanging is a big one because that's going to be the merging place. So I do think everybody with those hanging gates and in your incarnation cross, it makes sense, honey, why human design is part of your life purpose, right? Because that is where the mutation's happening and the awakening through the human design knowledge. It's very interesting. Once again, your chart always amazes me. All right. So, any other questions? Does that help, Sonny? My south node 59.6, north node 55.6. Yes. Yeah. So, you guys, yeah, those of you who are seeing this, it makes sense why you're being called through the human design knowledge. Because I do think that, like I said, we're already seeing things really intensify on the world stage. And we want to be more of the pillars of stillness and silence and clarity and wisdom rather than the sky is falling and creating panic, fear, and chaos. So, if you're called here, you're probably one of the leaders of this new energy and this new time. So, it's with great honor that I share this journey with you. It's with great honor that I invite you into the initiation of the Rave Cosmology. The first transmission is going to be on May 11th, I believe. It's a Saturday. It will be 3 hours. I was curious if I was going to make 3 hours last time, and I honestly could have gone another hour, and we had to like cut it short. And I added a bonus to it because it was like there was so much. And this topic's going to be even more profound because it's going to awaken your spiritual gifts. It's going to pull in your guides even more clearly. And it's going to help you get clear on all those places of where those entities are coming in, how they're affecting you, all those things that people worry about. We're going to get clear on. So thank you guys so much for everybody who's here live. Truly, truly feel you guys. Love you guys so much. And if you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to my team, support@raquelreina.com. Do you need this, Terrell? Ooh, I can't wait to hear your spiritual stories. If you're listening to the replay and you have questions, I am going to put our email address. It's at support@raquelreina.com if you have questions. If you're like, no, sign me up, I'm ready. I have to do this workshop. I'm going to put it here. And let's see if I can type it in one last time. It's also in the description. The link to join the workshop, it's also in the description. So I'm going to put it one more time in the chat there so that if you guys would like to join in, you can. And thank you guys so much. I love you all. And for those of you in the mastermind, I will see you on Thursday. And for the rest of you and those of you who shared, please stay tuned. We will be doing a drawing. And I don't know what the prize is going to be yet, but it's going to be good. All right. I love you guys.